Welcome to The Stage Whisperer, the podcast for experts who want to be standout speakers. I'm your host, Aurora Gregory, and I'm here to help you unlock the secrets of powerful speaker branding. Here you'll get take action tips to elevate your speaker game, along with insights from top speakers, event planners, and other experts, so you can make speaking the effective tool it needs to be in your business. Ready to make your mark on stage? Let's dive in. Recently, I was asked to be part of a large virtual summit event, and I was really excited about it for a couple of different reasons. One, it was someone I had never met before, and if you are in the online world, you know that after a while, it feels like you can start to run into the same people over and over again. And so I was excited about this because I was invited by someone I had never met before. I was introduced to Mia. She's the host of the summit. And she had such specific goals for this event. It's an event specifically for moms, and she's so in tune with her audience. And she was very clear that she knew that most moms do not have the amount of time that it takes to sit through a 15, 20-minute training or teaching on the summit, let alone 40 or 50 summit trainings, as some virtual summits can be so lengthy. And so she had a very specific type of presentation or video that she wanted her guest speakers to record. And the specific ask that she had was that we record a 5-minute video training for the summit. I remember being on the info call where she'd invited everybody to get to know each other, and she shared that, and I was like, wow, 5 minutes. First, that was the first time I'd ever heard anybody ask for something that short. I'd certainly spoken for 5 minutes. I can do a 5-minute presentation, but it was the first time I'd ever been on a stage where the length of time I had to present was 5 minutes. So I, at first, was just like, oh, wow, which of my trainings or which of the material that I have is actually going to fit? Once I narrowed down a topic with Mia, she had something specific that she wanted me to talk about. I thought, wow, how am I going to narrow this down to 5 minutes? Like, how are we going to do this? So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I wanted to talk about the lessons that I learned, observations I made of myself, and how effective a 5-minute training can actually be. I wanted to share that with you. So first off, Mia had a very specific outline that she had for what she wanted the presentations to look like. So she wanted to make sure that we all started with a story. Then she wanted us to move in from the story into the actual teaching, educate the audience on what our topic was. And then from there, she wanted to make sure that we had some very specific homework or to-dos for the audience to take on. She didn't want it to be vague or lack any kind of specific direction. She wanted it very clear. Now that you've listened to me for 4 minutes, here's a minute on what I want you to do next. So the topic that I finally narrowed down with her was how to land speaking opportunities that actually pay. This summit is for moms who are entrepreneurs and they want to be able to get paid to speak. And so I was going to be speaking on that. So we narrowed down my topic. And I think that was first and foremost, the most important thing for me to do is we're going to talk specifically about landing paid speaking opportunities. And then what I realized is that even in the breadth of that, the depth of that topic, there's still so much that I could have taught on. I could easily do a 30-minute teaching on that. So I had to take a look at that topic again, and I had to narrow it one more time. Like specifically, what was the one thing in that topic that really was going to be a game changer for the listener? What could I share that would be a difference maker for them and that was also very actionable, something that was very approachable for specifically this audience of moms, but really anyone? What were the specifics that I needed to be able to nail down? If I could give them one tip, share one thing with them, what would it be? And I had to decide what that was. What was the most important thing? Once I did that, everything else seemed to fall into place. Once I had narrowed everything down and leaned into what was the one most important thing I needed to focus on, then my job became being as efficient as I could without rushing. Hey there, it's Aurora. Real quick, if you've been wondering why getting booked to speak feels harder than it should be, especially when you know you're qualified, I've got something for you. It's my free masterclass, Why Even the Most Qualified Experts Get Passed Over for Stages. I'll show you the 3-step speaker brand blueprint that can land you your first dream stage in as little as 60 days. No cold pitch overwhelm and no pricey agents. Save your seat now at speakerbrandacademy.com/masterclass. All right, back to the show. One of the mistakes I see speakers make is that when they find themselves with a short amount of time, or they come to the end of their presentation and there's a lot of content that's still left on their slides, they feel the need to step on the gas and rush. And that was specifically the thing I didn't want to do. I did not want to rush in this presentation. I wanted it to feel very easy and approachable. I really felt like if I rushed through the material and talked very fast, trying to get it all in, that it would actually create a little bit of anxiety for the listener, that they were also going to have to rush to get into what it is I was calling them forward to do if they were going to land paid speaking opportunities. And I didn't want that. So my goal in preparing to actually record the presentation was to be efficient, but to not rush or hurry or feel like I had to draw in any extra content. So that meant that my outline that I prepared had to be very, very tight, and I needed to stick with it. I couldn't bring in anything else. I had to really use a strong, hard boundary with myself, making sure that I didn't bring in a lot of extra story or extra content that would be interesting, but wouldn't necessarily be a fit for this type of presentation. So once I recorded it, I have to say, I really loved how it turned out. I loved being able to focus in just on this one element, loved being able to help them understand that really what they had available to them already in terms of landing paid speaking opportunities was something they could lean into, and they wouldn't have to work very hard. The homework that I gave them was really about making lists of people that they knew and stages that they were aware of. Those were the things that I really wanted them to be able to focus in on, is that landing paid speaking opportunities was within their reach and was closer than they realized. So in ending the presentation, I made sure that I ended on a high note, that this was something that was very doable, approachable, and that I was excited for them. Being able to accomplish all of that in 5 minutes was a challenge that I loved. And I guess I would love to see what you would do with a 5-minute stage. I'd love to hear about what micro topics you would pull out of the things that you present on stage from some of the bigger topics that you present on either regularly or would like to present on. So often we feel challenged if we've got to pull together this 20-minute, 30-minute, 40-minute, 60-minute presentation. But how much more could we accomplish? How much more could we help an audience with something that was smaller, like a 5-minute stage? I would love to hear about what your micro topics would be, or if you need some help with creating micro topics, I'd love to talk to you about how you could do that, how we could create some micro topics for you to offer or to begin presenting. I will leave a link about how we can work together and how you can learn more about me and the things that I talk about. I am hoping that this was an interesting challenge for you, maybe planted some seeds. I know it's a challenge that I loved, and so I'd love to hear about how you would approach a 5-minute stage if you ever had to speak on one. And that'll do it for today's episode of The Stage Whisperer. Remember, every stage you step onto is an opportunity to impact lives and leave a lasting impression. Keep refining your craft and pushing the boundaries of what you can achieve with your voice. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, leave a review, and share this episode with fellow speakers. Visit our website for more resources and follow us on social media to stay connected. I'm Aurora Gregory, and until next time, keep making your voice heard.